Hello, I am going to explain topic 1, that's language as communication. This topic deals with the oral and written language and communicative situations in the classroom. In my exposition, I will focus on how language acquisition and on the methodology of language teaching. I will argue the case for learning through the natural approach, for learning through communicative situation, and for learning key competences, that is, learning not only language but also useful things for life. Our current educative standard, LOMCE, and the Common European Framework already promote these approaches. Take for example the oral skills in evaluation criteria 1 and 3, which deal with listening and speaking, and LOMCE also promotes learning strategies, that is, not only learning but learning in the easier ways, and these are linked with key competences. Let's consider first language acquisition. How do we learn our first language? Children start speaking at the age of 2, even 1. There is a fast progression in their competence. They learn in the context of their families and schools. Later on, at the age of 6, on average, children are introduced to writing. Writing involves a higher degree of complexity, for there is symbolism and abstract concepts. And from then on, learning oral skills and written skills produce a really fast development in the linguistic competence of students. That's the natural approach for learning a first language, and it should also be the approach for learning a second language as well. And let's deal now with methodologies for learning oral and written skills. There are 2 approaches. The traditional approach, which is on its way out, for it is highly ineffective. It is grammar-based and teacher-centered. Teachers use textbooks, activity books to give students grammar, drills, and there is little oral production or oral interaction. Then we have modern approaches in a range of varieties. Modern approaches reflect the natural approach. They're mainly oral. This doesn't mean that other skills are not valued. They are, but they are developed alongside oral skills, but always preeminence goes to oral skills. Modern approaches, in modern approaches, students do carry out exercises and activities, but that's only a practice stage. They are guided by the teacher, and here's where they acquire vocabulary, where they practice grammar structures, where they practice their pronunciation. There is a final stage called production or even interaction, where students produce with the highest possible degree of autonomy language. Modern approaches are student-centered and centered on communicative situations. Students tell about their interests, things they like, their families, neighborhoods, and so on. Modern approaches are also scaffolded. This means following Bloom's taxonomy, that students move on from comprehension stages to production stages, and later on to synthesis stages. I will give you an example. First, students name and list, then they move on to produce, explaining or describing, and finally they are able to give an opinion or to argue. For example, the treatment of mistakes is also very important in a modern approach. How we treat mistakes, because when we interrupt students, their affective barriers go up. Basically, they become afraid of making mistakes. This inhibits participation and inhibits learning. So, fluency is more important than accuracy. In conclusion, language is communication. Students are communicating when they are expressing their thoughts, their opinions, and so on. Communication is not grammar practice or gap filling. Learning takes place, in fact, when students are actually speaking about themselves among themselves in real communicative situations. And that's all. Thank you.